Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Hey,
can you hear me?
can you hear me? Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Great.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. And how are you?
I am fine. I'm
Awesome.
fine. So we
Awesome.
are live.
Great.
Just share,
Great.
share, 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 share. Everyone share. We are live. Oh my goodness. Our guest today is such a prompt lady. Very prompt. We are live. So share, share, share. We are going right away because we have limited time and we want to make use of Facebook family. We want to make use of this time. Just waiting, just for a few people. Please share, share, share. Facebook family, share. How's everyone doing? Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
You're welcome.
Thank
It's
you.
my
Thank you
pleasure to
so
be
much.
here.
So what we are going to do first is we are going to have you introduce yourself, and then we'll take it from there immediately.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on your platform. It's my pleasure to be here, and I am glad to be engaging with you and with your community, with parents on this topic. My name is Funmi Alagbe, and I am the founder of Parenting Grace. At Parenting Grace, we do everything parenting your children, misbehavior, handling all the challenges of parenting, and giving tools and strategies that will help parents to raise capable, responsible children in the future. So we do all that, and part of that is also talking about sexuality, which is a very important topic, and we equip parents with all they need to be able to engage with this conversation. I've been working with children and teenagers at different in different capacity and different faith-based organization for up to 20 years right now. And I've had counseling experience, counseling teenagers on areas of sexuality, which is one of the things, experiences that spark this book and all that. So, and during that experience, I realized that there's a lot of gap, that parents are not engaging their children about this topic. And these children are experiencing a lot. A lot is happening to them. So that's why we engaged in that. So we do other things like webinar, seminars, and trainings, and all that. And yeah, that's it about me. I'm a mother of three kids. I don't know what else to say.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much. So today we are going to be talking about the elephant in the room,
Hmm.
which as is such a concern, not a concern, such an interesting topic, very important topic that needed to be treated. And I think that particularly, in fact, I got drawn when I saw that topic, and I reached out to you immediately because I've actually been trusting God and looking for who to come, treat that topic with us, who to come teach us on how to go about, you know, treating anything sex related with our kids. Without shame, and also being able to pass the message across the right way. So when I saw that book, it was like, okay, this is like a prayer answered for me. And I reached out to you immediately, and I want to say thank you again for honoring our invitation. So we are going to just relax, and I know a lot of people are going to watch this event after now. We are going to relax and just have you, double into the topic and we can interact afterwards. We can ask our questions. If people have questions, I'm sure they will be able to ask. Okay.
Okay, yeah. When you say we should dabble into that topic, there's a lot to talk about in this topic, which now we need to find where to start. And I'm just going to. This is the book. Will just be just a few run through of the key things that we shared in the book for people. One of the first things we'll discuss was why is this conversation very important? We should be talking to our children about sexuality. When should we be doing this? And how should we be doing it? And what should we be saying? So there's a lot. Even that topic, we can begin to dig into that, and we might not be able to exhaust within the limited time that we have. So number one thing is, whose responsibility is it to talk to our children about sexuality? And before we go into that, we need to first of understand where we are coming from. From day one, we have known that shame and sex has always gone hand in hand together. In many culture, not only African culture, in also North America, Europe, everywhere, sex is something that people kind of shy away from. At least in those days, when people don't want to talk about it. It's like the taboo. Nobody wants to talk about. Parents are not engaging their kids about that because they don't even know what to say and how to do that. And I always say that we could get away with not talking to our children about sexuality 30, 40 years ago, and our kids will be fine. Many of us grew up in that era. We were okay, sexual wise. Many people could, your parents never spoke to you about it, but still you were fine. But we should understand as parents that this time that we are in right now, we are in a different season, a different time. We are in this hypersexualized society where everything you want to think of is laced with sexuality, with sexual content. And we have technological advancement, we have the internet there. So our children are constantly being exposed to sexual content. And we have seen the results that many kids will hear things that children are doing, less than 10, even a little older than 10, teenagers are engaging in, and you wonder what is happening. The fact is that the culture never stopped to talk to our kids about all these things. And
Hmm.
they just promote that. They give them this information constantly. But then, because we parents have never had anybody sit us down to talk to us about sexuality when we're growing up, so we don't know what to do. We don't know how to go about it.
Hmm.
It's easy for you to be able to do something when you have seen it modeled for you. But when nobody modeled it for us, nobody talked to us about it, it's something we don't talk about. So people don't know that they should, in the first place, be engaging their children on this sexuality, on this topic. And many people don't know that, and they don't even know where to start or how to go about it. So this is part of the reasons why it is the responsibility, because we as parents, we are the guardian, we are the one that God has entrusted these children into our hands, and it is our responsibility to train them in the way that they should go, including sexuality. Because if we are not talking to them, somebody else is talking to them outside. The
Hmm.
culture is constantly bombarding them outside, so they are picking things every second, every minute. So the rate at which this information is coming to our children is alarming, but yet we don't talk. And for some people that might say, okay, let me even attempt. We only raise the subject once and we don't ever go back. But then the culture is shaping and influencing our children's decision about sexuality. So when we now see things manifesting, people are surprised and like, what is happening here? Where did this all start? Where did I get it wrong? No, you have not never trained your children. You have not engaged them in this topic. So they don't know where you stand. Yet the culture is feeding them this information and they're picking those things and they're exhibiting it, and then we're surprised. So the number one responsibility of educating our children, talking to them about sexuality, lies with us as parents. So you are the one. Many people think, well, if I don't talk to them, they will teach them in school. You know
Hmm.
what? Not quite. They're teaching them biological facts in schools. They teach them all the things that you don't even want your children to know or to hear about.
Hmm.
So, and then They teach them that that is not information that will help them to make the right and informed decisions about what they need to do. And then the schools or other institutions, public institutions, will never teach our children values. They would never teach our children your values. What do you value? What's your value about sexuality? How do you want them to engage with it?
Hmm.
Whether you like it or not, your kids will make a decision. I'll just read a quote from the book, from the chapter 1, from the introduction. It's a quote by Steve Chalk. It says, sooner or later, your son or daughter will make their own choices about when, where, and with whom they have sex. If you want these choices to be informed and responsible, you need to teach them and talk to them about sex in a positive, natural, and guilt free way. That is where we come in as parents. We have to do that. It's our responsibility to do. And then the question is that where should I start? Where should you start to talk to your kids about sexuality? You start as soon as your child is able to understand logic. Your child is able to talk. You start, that's why we recommend you start at the age of 3 or 4, depending on how the development of your kids and what they're interested in. And people are like, oh my goodness, how do I be talking to a child about sexuality at that age? Okay, because many of us interpret this with our adult mind, and we are thinking when we are talking about sexual, we are talking about how a man and woman are in the room and engaging in sexual acts. That's not what you're teaching those kids, because there's a lot of things that's involved in sexuality. You're teaching them about boundaries, you're teaching them about privacies of the body, public parts, private parts, public places and private places and things like that, and how they should protect themselves. As simple as those information, many people are not talking to their kids about it. And you have children living in a compound where people, the one uncle, one brother is coming to their house and is abusing them sexually, molesting them, and nobody. We did a survey at some point in 2020. We asked a few people, cut across different generations. Did your parents ever spoke to you about sexuality when you were growing up? Over 70% people of the people said no, of which it's not surprising. But then out of those 30%, it's interesting to know that when we dig further, we ask, okay, what message did you hear? Over 70% of those people said, oh, it's just only one-off message of threats and warnings of, oh, you'll be pregnant if you touch a man, things like that. That's not what we're talking about. So that's breeding fear, and it's giving them a lot of reason to be afraid, and you're not giving them the right information they need to protect themselves, but they need to engage. And many children, because they're kids, the parents never spoke to them about it or open up to them about it. So when something is happening to them, they don't know what to say. They don't have the language. They don't even have the courage to speak to their kids that this is happening. Mommy, this is happening. I've counseled a teenager over 17 years who was being sexually abused right under her roof by her cousin who lived with them. She lived with her father. And then for 3 good years, she lacked the courage to speak up, to tell anybody about it, to tell her father. That abuse continued because each time this boy would come to her, he would come with a knife and threaten to kill her if she ever opened up. And that child was there. When she could no longer take it, what did she do? She said, oh, I need to summon courage to talk to my dad about this. I can no longer take this. And then she went to the father. The father was not expecting that information. He didn't know how to handle that. And the Simi started latching back on the girl, and the girl regretted ever opening up. At that point, she was ready to kill herself because when she was hoping to see help, to receive help, none was forthcoming. So we as parents, we lack that knowledge of what to say, how to engage, what we need to do to equip our kids with knowledge and tools and strategies to protect themselves, to make informed decisions, and to be able to disclose when someone is abusing them. That's one aspect. The other aspect is, what should I be saying? That's one thing I'm saying. You need to give them information to protect themselves against all form of sexual abuse and all that. And apart from that, in this age that we are in, there's a lot of messages going on the social media and all that is shaping the way our children think about sexuality. It's shaping the way they think about gender and sexual orientation and things like that. In the way many of us are seeing things and we're like, what is this? What is happening? But we have not spoken to these kids. We have not engaged them. We have not trained them. We have not really discipled them if I may use that word, to say this is how, this is who you are. And many young people are confused about their identity. They're confused about who they are, what they should be doing. Then they need an adult, they need trusted adult. And we parents should be the one filling that role to be able to talk to our children about this topic without shame, because that is where we can be able to to guide them and to be able to ensure that they are going in the right way, in the right path. Because if we don't, yes, the culture out there is going to decipher them. The culture out there, the movies they watch, the music they listen to, the social media pages they visit will begin to tell them this is how sexuality should be handled. This is how you should engage. This is free for all. You can decide to change if you want. Should be giving them all that information because we as parents that they trust and we that we're in the best position to talk to them are not doing that. And many of us complain that in schools they're giving our children this information because we will never talk to them in the first place. And the school cannot sit down. A teacher once said in an article that I read that in my class are kids, are teenagers engaging in sexual activity. There's a girl that is 3 months pregnant right in my class. And then you said I shouldn't talk to them about sexuality because we parents that should take on this responsibility have failed in the first place. So they start to engage them. And when we start to see the result, then we are surprised. You know, I have a girl that is a teenager that is in school that she come back to me and tells me all the things happening. And then we use that as a point to start engaging, to start to talk about this. You'll be alarmed to see what is happening right now because of the volume of information that they're exposed to in schools. So the kids have gotten the message that it's a free for all. I mean, a child that is like 14 years telling the friends in school that, oh, she just hooked up with a boyfriend and they're doing oral sex. I'm like, oh, the person is able to say that. Say yes, it's a thing of status. So it has become that. So if you don't want your kids to do that, to pick these values, then you had better start to talk to them about what you want them to think. You had better
Okay.
start to talk to them on how you want them to engage. If I may stop there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. See my husband
Welcome.
going to work. I'll talk to you later. Sorry. Okay, so you made mention of the age that parents should start, bringing such topic. Now, at that particular age, how do we pass the message across to them, and what should we be telling them specifically? Because I know you mentioned something that caught me, that you know um sex is not all about what the man, because that is where our mind will definitely go to, and that is why I guess parents shy away from such, but there is more to it. So at that age, if I may ask, and then we can take it to the teenage age and of course, teenage and adults. So at that age of 3, what should we be telling them?
Actually,
What
I
should we
think
be,
I
as
mentioned it
far
in
as
passing. Yeah, at that age is where you want to give them information to protect themselves, and you want to lay the foundation for the conversation that will continue. In those days, people, for parents that dare to talk to their kids, they will just sit them down around puberty and give them information, and that's it. That's a few of those parents that did that. But now, this is not a one off conversation, it's something that has to be going on as children grow. And then at that age that we're talking of is where you start to lay the foundation of conversations that will still happen as they grow. So you want to tell them you're waiting for a child, you're telling them this is your private part, this is your public part. People can touch it, but here nobody should touch you here. If anybody is trying to do that, you need to talk to mommy. If somebody is telling you don't talk to mommy, that person is your enemy. They don't like you. You need to still come and talk to me. Nothing will happen to you. Mommy will protect you or daddy will protect you. This is your private part. So nobody should touch it or things like that. So you're going to give them those information to protect them. There's we have a poster that has rules or things you could tell your kids, about sexuality, which at that age you could use it to have a discussion with them and to let them know what they need to protect themselves. You should also tell them about privacy. You're in the washroom, in the bathroom, or toilet as they will call it in UK. So you're there, this is a private affair. You shouldn't bang open door on people, things like that. You start to understand the concept of privacy. And I always say that at that age, you want to use the right word. This is very key. This is one of the strategies we give in this book, that will help you to overcome shame around sex. You need to call a spade a spade. Call the names of their sexual organ by the names, because that's the foundation. That's where the culture of shame is being perpetrated. That's where it started from. When a child, you're talking to them about their every part of their body, you name it correctly, their hand, their faces, their legs. When it comes to private part, we use pseudonyms, we use cookies, we use or broccoli or things like that. All sorts of names that we come up with because we are shamed in the first place. So we are projecting that shame onto those children, and we are not using it. So one of the first thing you need to do to overcome that shame is to call their private part by the correct name. Penis, vagina is vagina, or vulva, as we'll call it today. So you need to let them use the right word so that when something happens, the kids can report and get help on time. Because if a child is in a classroom, I've heard a situation where a child was in a classroom, somebody was touching her vagina, and she was there, and the only word she knew for vagina was cookie, and she went to the teacher and reported that somebody was trying to touch her cookie or get her cookie, and the teacher was like, share, it's good to share, so
Oh,
that's it, because the teacher will not understand the pseudonyms that we have come up with for private parts. So for our children to be able to get help on time, and to be able for us also an adult to overcome shame and not to project that shame on them, we need to use the correct name for the private part and start to teach them all I've mentioned. There's many more things in the book that can give us what we need to see. Thank you.
and then from the age of the teenage, I know it's the teens that that is where we have that is where we have the major challenge. And how do you handle with what is going on in the system right now, where a lot of, I would say, atrocities, a
Mhm.
lot of atrocities and information,
Yeah.
and you know how do you handle your things? How do you handle your children? How do you get them to the point where they are confident enough to open up to you, to tell you about whatever their concerns are, as far as that area is concerned, this topic is concerned? How do you
Okay.
get them to that point?
Yeah. So we have to be very intentional as parents in doing that. It's always a saying that if your children are able to talk to you about sexuality, then they can talk to you about any topic, anything whatsoever, they can open up. So that's why talking to your kids about sex is not only, there are many benefits to it, because you lay a solid foundation of open, honest conversation in your home that is natural and organic, shame free. And if you have established that foundation, your children, your teenagers will be free to come to you and talk to you about bullying, about things, about different ideology or perspective that somebody is exposing them to, or something they are learning. So they will be able to open up. So that's why you start as early as possible to start to engage them. And there are age appropriate things you have to give your children. We have spoken about the children 3 5 years, and as they grow, you give additional layer of information, which is itemized in the book. So you start to build on the foundation that you have given them, and you build on that. You talk on so many other topics. There's so many other things you need to discuss when the children are growing up. But so it's not about sitting your children down to have one long conversation and never to address that again. There might be times where you will have those long conversations, but more often than not, you need to have conversation every now and then when opportunity presents itself, which we call teachable moments. You're watching a news, something flashed, you see people, a two sexes getting married or something like that, and people are coming. Maybe that's the first time your children are seeing that, and they're worried at what's happening. You need to sit them down and talk to them, and then you need to talk them about your values, because there are values out there that your family might not really support or be or affirm. So you need to let them know where you stand and why and where that is coming from. For people that are Christian, you might want to go to the Bible and establish some foundation, and you continue to build. Use stories of what has happened, things to engage them, to have that conversation. It's not something you just brush and go. And then you continue to have that conversation and talk to them. Don't wait until we shouldn't wait until our children encounter things outside before we start to explain to them. So that's being reactive. Rather, we need to be proactive in that we need to start to talk to them about things that we eventually get to hear outside, things that we eventually get to know outside. Tell them this is what you see. In those days, it wasn't like that, but here today, this is what you might hear or you might see. This is where we stand, and this is the reason why we believe in this. So let them know and continue to talk about it. Give them a confidence that they should come to you anytime they have questions or they see something that is not clear to them or something that they somebody told them something. They should always come to you, and then we should not be surprised, because sometimes we as parents, we discourage our children from coming to us to ask questions or for clarity. When we hear things, we are afraid, and the fear or already it shows in our kids and the way we even our facial expression and all that. And so when kids start to see that when tell mommy this, the way she's going to react, next time they won't want to come to us to talk to us about that. So we need to practice our no surprise faces. And there's
No
nothing.
surprise faces.
Yes, yes.
No
There is
surprise
nothing.
faces. Okay.
There is nothing my kids will tell me now that I'll be surprised. That will say, oh, then so you need to give them that confidence they can always come and talk to us about these topics, and then we can guide them. There's so many other topics about dating, what's the expectation about relationship, about sexuality, about gender, about things like that you need to talk to them about. So, and this will guide you to know what to say, to what extent you should handle that. If kids are asking for more information, you have additional layer of information to give them.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. No surprise faces. I've learned something. And again, another thing I caught is, having your children get to the point of having confidence in you, not being judgmental, not, just putting them down or judging them. Anybody will run away from whoever,
Absolutely.
will constantly judge them instead of directing them and guiding them and finding them, walking them through the path of solution, instead of just dwelling in just judging them. So yeah, and then
Absolutely.
calling the names the right way. I've also learned that, because that is where it stands. I think we have built a big wall around
Absolutely.
what they call sex.
I tell you, yeah,
Um,
it's like the elephant in the room, like you call it.
Elephant in the room. Exactly. We've built a big wall. Even as adults, it's always, even where I'm sure you can relate to that. Even when we want to talk about sex as married couples, or a seminar, or
Hmm.
a program, there is always this tension or this energy,
Absolutely.
and we need to get to the point. And that is why, even in homes, even amongst couples, there is still that, conflicts here and there, argument, because maybe church is shying away from calling a spade. Couples are fighting, and they have told you, maybe the woman would have even confirmed. I'm not digressing, but maybe the woman may have even confide in the pastor's wife, or confide in the pastor, that the reason why my husband and I are fighting is because he's not satisfying me in the bed.
Yeah,
But whenever they come to treat it, they just,
that's
just
absolutely
sugarcoat
true.
it on the periphery. So you just see it again, is always a topic that people shy away from. And this is one area the enemy has used to
Absolutely.
bring, bring a lot of confusion. So I'm grateful to God that you wrote that book. Please, 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 this book is a must have for everyone, for every household. Even if you're not married, you're going to be married one day, and you're going to have children one day, and they definitely have, you have nephews, you have nieces, you have cousins, you have
Absolutely.
neighbors' children. Knowledge is never wasted. So I'm sorry, what is this? It is important that everyone grabs this book. And if you have any question, I know people eventually will get to come watch this, later. I'm used to them. People will get to come watch this later. Please, how do we get your book? How do we get your book? How
Yeah,
do
I
we?
have just shared a link in the chat, and if you go to www.funmialagbe.com/book, funmialagbe.com/book, you'll get the
Let's.
link to buy the link will take you to Amazon directly without you having to search in Amazon. And if you're outside North America, Europe, or you're in Nigeria, for example, Africa, in Nigeria, there's a specific link where you can follow to buy the book right there. But the link will give you all that you need to take you directly to where you need to order the book. So get
Okay.
one for yourself, get for your friends, get for your neighbor. So this is where you have to be your neighbor's keeper, your brother's keeper, your sister's keeper, because sometimes we all say, as long as my family is okay,
Mm.
somebody, God forbid, that we are raising kids that are wholesome, that are wholesome, that are doing well, and somebody outside is coming to do something that we don't want. So for as many as we can reach, your friends, your neighbor, use it as gifts to them, and all that.
Somebody said, can we see the book again? Can you please show the book so they can see um how? Okay. We are
Okay.
not seeing the book. Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Can you guys see it now? Can you
Yeah, because
see?
of the yeah,
Please,
better
if you
this
have
way.
any questions, send your questions now. We are open to questions. Send your question. This is the author of how to teach your children about sex without being. Oh, somebody said not really. They didn't see the book. Um, this is how to teach. She's the author of how to talk to your child about sex without shame. And everyone, like I said, I have been trying to get someone to come treat this topic. So everything is a broad topic. It is broad, and I'm sure the book will help a great deal. The book will help a great deal. Now, if you have any question, please send in your questions. Let's ask our guests. If you have any questions, send in your questions. Let's ask our guests. Um, and please give this video a thumbs up. Please like this video and share. Everyone, the best you can do right now is to share, 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 share. Somebody needs to benefit from this life. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to hear this. So please send in your questions if you have any. If you don't, let me know. If you have oh, somebody has a question. Okay, sure. All right, please. What is your question? What is your question? Somebody said yes. What is your question? Please send in your question. All right. If I don't, I guess people will get to hear this. Okay. People will get to watch this eventually. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Please, the link again. The link, let's see.
um, I'll send the link again.
The
Okay.
link.
Yeah, Send the link. Is it coming through?
I'm not seeing it.
Can you see now?
I don't know why. No, I'm not seeing it. Can anyone see it? She just sent it to somebody said, okay, maybe I have a question. Okay, please go ahead with your question so we can read it out. You said www dot what now? www dot
Funmi Alagbe, my name, funmialagbe.com.
www dot com
funmialagbe.com slash
www
book.
www dot fumi okay
Funmi.
me alagbe
Send the link again. Um,
alagbe.com, right?
yeah,
Funmialagbe.com. Okay.
slash book.
Slash book. Okay.
So I'm putting it in the chat. It's a chat with everyone in the studio. Maybe the chat is only coming to you. Do you see my chat? You can paste and put in the comment or something.
See, that is one thing I'm not good. Okay, I think I see the chat. Okay, I think I've left it. Let me pin it here. I don't want to. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, let me put it.
Yes.
Oh, what did I just do?
No, that's okay. You're still on.
I put it here. Put you. I'll put you. Uh, no. No, that is not okay. So, Cherry, are you there? Can you pin this comment? Can you pin the comment? I just sent this. Please pin this comment. Please pin the comment. Anyway, we can always leave it at the description section so that we'll be sure. Let me see if there's any question. If there's any, May say I have a question. Where is
Yeah.
your? Let's see. I have a question. Please, at what age? Okay, please, at what age again can one start teaching them? That is
I think we have answered that question. Maybe the person was just joining. We had said that as soon as your kids are able to talk, we're looking at age between 3 and 5, depending on your child's development. You
mm-hmm.
should start to lay the foundation for a healthy sexuality, which means you need to start to talk to them about their body, and then the private part, the public part. You need to talk to them about what is the boundaries and all that. So these are the foundation that you need to lay, and you need to help them to protect themselves and see public part who should not touch it, private part who should not touch it, or maybe only doctors when you're being examined or your parents are washing you up or things like that. So you need to start to lay that foundation at that age. And depending on your children, some children could be very curious and then they might be wanting to ask, oh, where do babies come from and things like that. We provide age appropriate answers in the book that will help you to answer that question, that you will not give too much information and that you will not give too little information. So that's why that's age appropriate. Gone are those days where we start to give children wrong information in the name that, because we also don't want to talk about this topic, and we either send them to go meet their father if they ask a question, or we just find a way and pretend that we are busy. We don't want to answer those questions. There's some kids that are curious that will ask you, where do babies come from and all that. We hear, oh, the stock brought the baby in a bassinet or things like that. You don't give your children those kind of information, because at the end of the day, they will eventually get to know. But you want to lay a foundation. You want to give them correct information, but that's age appropriate. Correct information that is age appropriate. So you tell them, yeah, you need a part from a man and a woman to make a baby. Most times, kids will be okay when we give them those foundational, simple questions. Only in few cases that your children want to dig in deep and tell me more. And when a child is becoming overly curious about things like that, you want to also investigate what's happening. This is unbecoming of a child your age, or things like that. Maybe the child has been exposed to things you don't know, things like that. So you want to also start to dig in deep. But most times you have basic information you can give your children at that age, and they will be fine. And they'll be fine. And then as they grow up, you can begin to lay that foundation, add more detail and all that they would know. that's required for them at that age.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, so back to what you just said. If a child comes to you and say, Mom, Dad, where do baby comes from? Like come from? Where do babies come from? Or how are babies made? If your child confronts you with such question or approach you, let me say approach you with such question, how will you handle it?
Oh, is it for me? I've already answered the question. Yeah, I've already answered the question. It's
No, you
simple
said
question.
oh yeah, yeah, that mommy and daddy will have to come together, and
Yeah,
that
you
was
need
what
a
you
part
said.
from mom and dad to
You
make
need a
baby.
part? Did you say you need a part?
Yeah, yes, a part from mommy and daddy to make a baby. No, you don't have to tell them the nitty gritty of sexuality and how they enter the room. And no, your children don't need that at that age. They don't. Eventually, they will get to know as they grow up. You continue to build more foundation. So you just give them that basic information, and you need a portion, and then you could add additional information depending if your children want to know more. You need an egg and a sperm. So mommy produce egg, daddy release sperm, and those two come together to make babies. So you don't say involved in all those. Many kids will be fine with that basic information, which is really biological facts about how babies are made, but it's not overly graphic or in a way that will be disturbing for young kids at that age. So give them those basic information and they will be fine. And so when kids are asking for more information, then you give them a little more information. Most times they will be fine because at that age, that's what they need to know.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Again,
welcome.
this is Funmi
I like
Alagbe.
big. I like
Alagbe. Funmi Alagbe. I want to be Funmi Alagbe, the author of How to Talk to Your Children or How to Talk to Your Kids about Sex Without Shame. So please, I know this is a must-have on every family shelf. Go right now, purchase your own and read it, and it will help you treat this big elephant in the room. You can read it, will help you reduce the elephant to a chicken.
Yes,
It will help you reduce the elephant to a chicken without being
absolutely.
uncomfortable or have your child be uncomfortable. And again, our with this day and age, if we don't open up properly to our children, they will hear it from outside anyway. I, in particular, will not want anyone to give my child an information and mislead them. I would rather, do it myself because I know I
Absolutely.
definitely will approach it. I will know how to go about it. Um,
Absolutely.
and I'm glad again. Is it possible to teach a male child about female parts and female parts about male oh, this is a very good question. Is it possible to teach a male
It is
child
possible.
about female parts and female about male parts?
When you say is it possible, I want to say it's not impossible. It is possible, but is it something you want to do? And the question is, you need to know the age of the child and why how that information will benefit them. But every child knows that a boy have penis. Oh, girls have vagina. That's basic information about uh, the body parts. When you're talking, they're growing up and they're talking about menstruation, for example, all those puberty things. At some point, there are information that both boys and girls will need to know. But when you start to talk about menstruation for a child, for a girl, you don't need to give the boy the detail. So a boy might not be in the same place where you're talking to your child, because that child, for
I
example,
don't
might
think
grow
she's
up.
talking about, I think she's making reference specifically to body parts. Is that what you're
Oh
saying?
yes.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
she's
body
getting it
parts.
now. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I've answered that question. It's okay to just say, oh, you're a boy, you have this. You're a girl, you have this. If that is what you're still teaching your own family, because there's a lot of things out there right now. So you have this and this. A girl have this, and it's okay. That information is not harmful to your child. It's good for them to know, because some kids can be a boy and says, can I grow breast, mommy? Oh no, that's for only girls, biological. girls grow breasts, so boys will never grow. Boys' breasts will never be fully developed uh, the type that you have for females. So things like that, just depending on the age of your child, anyway. So you don't give too much information, but it's okay for you to let the boys know that this is the private part for the boys, and this is the private part for the girls.
For a young girl or a young boy who is at their puberty age, and they have all this drama going on in their body, how do you handle such? How do you get them to the point? How do they handle that crisis? The
Um,
buying and selling in their body. How do you advise them to handle it?
Now, it's still you're going to be there as parents to support them because it could be very uncomfortable for them at that age because their body is changing and they're wondering what is happening. You need to be able to support them in the process. So before that they get to that, so you need to start to prepare the mind. Like we have answering sexuality questions for different age group here that we've put together. So at that age, when they're getting to around 8, is where you want to start to prepare their minds about, oh, menstruation will likely happen. Where you're growing up now, you start to move from being a girl to being a woman, or from being a boy to bring a man, and there will be some changes that you will notice. You start to mention those changes to them, that there's nothing uncomfortable, there's nothing strange about it, every one of us. So when your children hear that everybody have passed through that stage, and it's okay, it's normal, and it's the way we present it that will make them to feel comfortable and feel at ease about it. So tell them, let them know that everybody at some point um I've gone through that stage. I think my battery is running low now. So everybody at some
Okay,
point has gone through
rounding
started
up.
and it's a normal stage of development. And then you prepare them. In this book, we talked about how you can get them a puberty kit where you can get ready for your kids. They know what to do. You're already sharing just long before, a little before that starts. So that and build their confidence that they're able to come to you and say, oh, this has started. Oh, good, great. Share a personal experience of how I handled that with my daughter. So it's
All
something to
right. Thank you so much. And, please go purchase your own book. I know we cannot handle everything or cover everything you need to know. But I guess this book I've not read it yet, but I am positive. I am really positive that the book will answer a lot of questions. And reach out to her too. She's also on Instagram. Please reach out to her. If you want her link, let me know. I will give you her link, and reach out to her. And she'll be able to um um answer all your questions. Somebody said, for a child that is already ashamed, how do you get them to choose the right words?
when
In
that is
two
already
minutes,
happened,
in 2 minutes, can you answer that,
when
please?
that's already happened, you need to start to work on them and start to talk to them why it's not a thing to be ashamed of. And then the way there could be a number of reasons why a child is starting to get ashamed. One, there's not been an atmosphere of open, honest conversation at home. If a child is already grown into that atmosphere, it won't be a thing that they will be ashamed of. There will be a little element of shame. You won't totally.
Oh, did we lose? Oh, she said her battery was packing up. She mentioned I think she made mention of her battery. But anyways, I think most of the questions have been answered. And please reach out to her on Instagram. I will, reach out to me, and we'll post her Instagram so you can reach out to her. But get that book. I think it will really, really help a great deal. But yes, not being judgmental. I would say that not being judgmental. Let your first instinct not to be to judge the child. I definitely purchase. Yeah,
Yeah,
first instinct is not okay. She's here. Okay, I was telling them that you had mentioned that your battery was running low.
yeah.
Okay, so you answer the question
Okay.
immediately, and then we can.
Yeah, like I was saying, I said there could be a number of factors that contribute to a child being ashamed, in that regard. So we need to start to turn the table around for us, for everybody at home. And you won't totally 100% get rid of the share, but at least you get your family to a point where everybody is comfortable to talk to you about what is happening.
Mm,
You want to, so you have to start to work on that. And it starts with you. You lay the start with you, because when they see you laying, starting with, they will learn from your own example, and they'll be able to take a cue from you that if mommy is able to talk about this, that means I'm able to come and talk to her about it. So that's the thing. So you set the pace, be the example, and start to talk to them. They might not come to you. You might notice your child is already ashamed. You can start to talk to them. It might not be direct. You might just say, "Oh, what's happening with your friends in school? Tell me. I heard this thing. Or, oh, I saw this thing on the news. I know in this school I heard that. Is this happening in your own school?" You just start conversation and all that. You're like, wow, that did not happen in my own time. You even use your own experience. You talk to them, but you are engaged. You are making them. You're free to talk, and then we share strategies to overcome shame here. So you can be multitasking while you're talking to them about it, so that they feel relaxed. You don't sit them down face to face and start to talk to them about this topic for 30 minutes or what. Make it just an organic conversation. Let it just build up. So with that, they will overcome the shame around it.
thank you so much. Please go ahead and celebrate our guests. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you
Thank you so much.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Please go and purchase your book. Go right now and buy your own book, and every question will be answered there. And if you have any more questions, you can. Until next time, this is the Igodo Family Vlogs. If you're not part of this family yet, this is a good time to subscribe to this channel, because we bring family friendly content, rich content, and we bring guests, all the time to come bless us, like our sister Funmi. Thank you so much. Thank you. God
Thank you.
bless you.
It's
And
my pleasure. Mm,
God bless you. We'll be talking behind the scene after now.
sure. Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
to
you.
everyone that connected. Don't forget to give us a like. Don't forget to thumbs up. And don't forget to share. A family needs to hear this. Let us share this
Will
love. All
do.
right. Thank you so much. And bye.
Bye.
Bye.